if you understand the whole entire process, it makes every step along the way easier.
Before I have the opportunity to then say, hey, Brian, tell me about what's going on here.
That makes a difference. And that's really something you can't learn until you do shadow and just see it in person.
All right, first question. What were some challenges you faced moving from one department to another?
Ooh, this one I had a hard time with.
Yeah, you want to start?
Yeah, I assumed that all processes and training processes would be the same in each department. And I quickly learned from transitioning from ops to portfolio management, that is not the case. And each department has their own personality, just like people do.
Well, that's just the thing. In each department, when you move from, say, operations to planning, like it's different leadership, it's different people, it's different work. So everything has to be, as everything is, of course, structured.
Yes.
But the way in which you learn the process and what your day-to-day looks like, of course, will be different.
Yeah. You guys tell me what you think about it. PM for me was the one that I was most uncomfortable with going into it.
I agree with that. It's a little daunting if you don't feel super knowledgeable on how to, analyze a portfolio type of thing. I feel like it definitely, at least for me, I haven't gone through it and I was definitely way more scared.
Yeah.
I am more scared to go to PM than I am to planning.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So I've been through operations. I'm currently in planning and I'm getting ready to move to portfolio management, but I'm most excited for it because it's probably the area that I'm most interested in, or even, the least knowledgeable in. So getting that, that exposure and being able to learn, I'm pretty pumped for.
Yeah, that was my thoughts a lot too, because my degree was in economics.
Yeah.
And so that I had a really good stable foundation about economics, but I had a hard time understanding how that went into effect with the market. So for me, I was like, well, if I'm going to be talking about this, I might as well learn. And I just loved how many tools we had in portfolio management that we could use. The box charts were my favorite. I just loved, I don't know, it was just something about seeing them and going, searching up the stock. Okay, is it doing well? Is it not doing well? Is there going to be a turn soon? The technical analysis was definitely my favorite compared to the two. Fundamentals, it was a little bit harder to understand, mostly because there's a lot for it.
Yeah, I thought it was super cool too, thinking about how much I learned as I was going through that process. If you understand the whole entire process, it makes every step along the way easier. You understand how one department interacts with another.
Yeah, it helps you learn, or it helps you work between departments.
Yeah.
It's okay, why, when I was in operations, why were they asking for these things?
Yeah.
Now I'm in PM and I know exactly what
why they're asking for this.
Why we need these things.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. And I think that's kind of one of the ultimate goals of the program is you're going to be so well prepped that leans into your confidence as an advisor because you know every in and out of every department and what you need when. And I think that's super unique about here. You probably know every in and out when.
Yeah, there's a lot of that's, I agree, one of the super cool things. There's a lot of things that people accept that's the way we do it because that's how we have been doing it. But new tools become available, new different methods, new technologies we're using that now there's actually a better way to do it. So understanding why we do everything has really helped me kind of push out ideas that might help us be more efficient in different areas.
Yeah. What is Bogart Wealth's open door policy?
I guess to simplify it, when the door is open, it basically means you are welcome to join a meeting or be able to come to the advisor for any questions.
Yeah, ask questions.
The advisors or anyone who is in office essentially is there for support. So you don't need to hesitate when it comes to wondering or not if you can join a meeting. Just ask them and they can tell you, oh, sure, that's a really good one to sit on. Or actually this client's a little sensitive. So it wouldn't be best to sit on this one, but here's another one that you can join. So there's always going to be the underlying support for AGT members and anyone really to be able to sit on a meeting and just see how any advisor runs their calls.
Yeah, or even if I'm working on a plan for Brian, but Brian is out of the office or in a meeting, and Nell's door is open, I can go and ask Nell a question about about the plan, and she may be there to, to answer anything I have.
Morgan's a really good
resource. They're all great resources.
Example of an open door policy, especially like when it comes to like planning models.
We've talked a lot about AGT being, we have Luke and Chaz and some of these other members that are there as resources. But even if you're not in AGT, you're just in the department. Harrison and Adam in planning, Jack in PM, like they're all good resources for whatever you may need.
Yeah, you really can go to anyone at any time.
And then even if you're not in those departments, you have like Allie in HR, and you can just talk to her about anything. Life goes on. And it's really cool to just kind of have both the professional support, but also like the personal personal
absolutely.
support.
What did you like most about each department?
They're all, as we kind of talked about the whole discussion, they're all very different. There's operations, which is a very transactional department. If you like crossing stuff off a list, getting stuff done.
Yeah, we've said it before. It's the email in, email out.
Yeah. It is. That's kind of the biggest thing there. Then there's planning, which has a little bit more analysis. It's more. There's more you can do with it. There's more you can figure out. There's both of them have different amounts of back and forth with advisors, which could be frustrating in some senses, or with planning, at that point in time, you're spending more time in meetings, so you have a little more direct exposure to what's happening. Operations, there might be a little bit of back and forth. Like, I need this from you, otherwise we can't do this. So a lot of that.
I would say in planning also, it's a little bit more, I guess you need more elaborative information. For PM, it's very... I would say it's 50-50, kind of like the kid. I would say portfolio management in a sense is the kid of operations and planning. Because you have the emails of in and out transactional side.
Sell this, buy this. Yeah.
And then you have the methodical research analysis side that comes with looking at different stocks and ETF funds and seeing how the economy affects the market. So it's really cool just to see just how much the all three departments have in connection with one another, even though like with planning, it's kind of secluded from the other two. Like trading and operations go hand in hand each other, and we'll have a lot of communication.
And work together,
for sure.
Whereas planning's kind of its own little island where you'll get a little bit of information or contact from the other departments, but it's not, I guess, dependent on it. What do you like about observing client meetings?
Everyone's different.
Everyone's different. Honestly, I love, when I can, if they're in-person meetings, I love putting names to faces. I guess part of it is just you get that added connection that you don't get when you're just doing, I guess, the behind-the-scenes work for them.
Absolutely.
And questions prompt from experience. If I'm sitting in the meeting with Brian and I hear something that I may have never thought about before, I have the opportunity to then say, "Hey, Brian, tell me about what's going on here."
I think, my favorite part is, we're all kind of in that phase right now where we're like, advisors in the making. So we're still like developing how we're going to want to be in the future.
Works.
And what works. And I think it's really cool to shadow different advisors and then see, I really like that. I want to do that. And then you kind of get to see all these different perspectives, and then you kind of get to create, you have a better idea of like how you want to be in as advisor, because you take all these little pieces of how they do things. And I think that's my favorite part, is you just get so many different perspectives. Like I like the perspective aspect of it.
Or like, kind of like, I remember like I was thinking, okay, how would I present this topic? Like if it's Roth conversions or NUAs. And in planning, we do the Roth conversion analysis and NUA analysis. And we're like, okay, we look at it, but advisors, they present on different aspects pertaining to whichever client it is. And I think it's really cool because sometimes like I won't think about a specific thing when I'm doing the analysis. And then I see they do it and I'm like, okay. And then I ask them the questions and I'm like, why do you point that out? And then they'll explain everything and it's great.
Well, if you're doing the work, if we're doing, like what you said, the Roth conversion analysis and we have the presentation ready to go, and then we see it being presented, it's, I didn't even think about this. I wasn't even looking for what you just talked about.
Yeah, and there's all the technical stuff too, but a lot of these advisors have a ton of experience, and there's a lot of situations that arise that are hard to deal with in our industry. So having a client tell you that their spouse had passed away, that's one of the things, there's no right way to do it. It's a really hard thing to handle and talk to them about. But hearing the different advisors handle that in different ways is really helpful for building your own practice and running into situations.
Yeah, I was going to say too, I feel like sitting in on meetings, you also learn a lot of like the quote unquote soft skills. Like you see truly how that's kind of executed. And you know, how advisors really do have like those tough conversations or just like how they address clients and like, especially in-person meetings, just how much that makes a difference. And that's really something you can't learn until you do shadow and just see it in person. So that's something I've definitely picked up on a lot, is just like how they communicate and how they, you know, fully execute a meeting. I feel like that's also something I picked up on like right away.
Yeah.
I have those. Those are one of the conversations that I have with Nell almost after every meeting. And it'll be kind of soft skills sort of thing. Like, why did you stop your little spiel short? Like, she'll usually have this whole thing talking about the markets and stuff. And she cut it short. She's like, well, I saw that they weren't super interested in that. It's like being able to read clients. Like, I noticed that like they were looking away. I noticed that they weren't super focused. And so she'll kind of just move on a little bit quicker because she notices that that's just something that's not important to them. Doesn't mean it's not important, just to them, that's not really what they want to hear at that time. So,
yeah. Well said.
All right, next round, friend.
It's about a 7-hour exam, and it's a beast, but it is one of the steps, you know, to get to where you want to be.